10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome, everybody, to a very special edition of Stadium Connect North. I'm John, also known as Four Scars Gaming, and of course, I've got my partner in crime here, NinjaGuy X. How are you doing, my friend?
Hello, hello. I'm doing well. How about you, John?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good, man. I've been so excited for this as well. As we can see, we've got a special guest here, but we also have Aswe, who isn't showing up on the screen, but Aswe's here.
Ooh,
Hey, Aswe, how are you?
I'm okay. I've had a day.
Tough day, tough day.
Yes.
I've had a day.
Awesome.
I'm
Well,
happy to be here, though.
That is so awesome. We are so glad that for you to be a part of this. Before we get started here, I want to give a special recognition. Consigno out in the chat for the super chat. Thank you so much. That is so awesome. Thank you guys. And as you can probably see here by the video playing and the gentleman below NinjaGuy X, we've got Alex from 13 AM Games here talking about his studio's brand new game that's coming out March, Dawn of the Monsters. Hey, Alex, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Well, we are so excited and so glad that you are on the show. Not only us, but the Stadia community itself. When we heard that Dawn of the Monsters was coming to Stadia, everyone just went banana and wild. It was so fantastic, and we immediately reached out because we knew, we're like, oh my gosh, like this game looks so awesome. It's coming to Stadia. It's got a level of from Toronto in here. 13 AM Games is from Toronto, Canada. It's like, holy crap. So again, thanks so much for coming out here. We're gonna go right into start talking about the game here. Maybe learn a little bit about you first. If you could maybe tell for those in the chat watching who may not know, maybe just like a little bit about yourself and about 13 AM Games and the team that's working on this fantastic game that's coming up here.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Alex Rushdie. I'm the creative director on Dawn of the Monsters at 13 AM Games. And 13 AM is a studio, an independent studio that has been in Toronto for this May will have been around for 8 years, which is pretty crazy.
Wow.
And we started actually out of George Brown. So we were all in college together doing a post-grad game design program. Mm-hmm. And we did a game jam where we jammed out this little game called Runbow. And yeah, so we're pretty familiar with it. Yeah. Yeah. Very popular game. Yeah. Well, we came up with that game over 48 hours. We came up with the idea and made a little version of it. And
wow,
we just received so much positive attention from it that while we were still working we were still classmates in college, we said we should just keep working on this and try to release it. and we eventually showed an early demo of it to Nintendo, and they got so excited about it. They were like, "You have to come down to California. You got to show this off at IndieCade. You got to finish this game and release it on Wii U."
Wow.
So from there, we honestly, when we incorporated 13 AM Games, we thought, okay, well, we'll finish this game and then we'll go get real jobs. and here we are 8 years later. So things worked out pretty well.
That is truly amazing. And I already see in the chat here, there's of course we've got Canadians in the chat here. People already picking up on the slight little things in the game. I see a Tim Norton's billboard in there. I did see a little Roots sign as well, getting destroyed.
Yeah, we call it Snoots.
Snoots.
Nice.
Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. That's awesome. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's learn a little bit about Dawn of the Monsters here. Again, for people that aren't really familiar with it, if you could maybe tell us how the idea for the game came about, the story behind it, the gameplay, and maybe stuff like what inspired you to make your team make this game.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, I love kaiju. Like, I love giant monsters.
Nice.
And I grew up on them. In fact, you'll notice in the game, there's actually in the Toronto level, there's a billboard for Zillers. And it's because
Zellers,
when I was a kid, I went to a Zellers and I found a Godzilla toy there. And that
my
was
gosh.
the first time I ever encountered it. It's actually this toy. So I found this at Zellers.
Mm-hmm.
I actually called him Godzillers because I couldn't figure out.
Godzilla. Nice. Nice.
So yeah, I mean, I was always interested in the idea of making a monster game, and a couple of years ago, we had an opportunity to kind of, we finished Rumbo and we were looking for our next project, and one of the projects that we had and started to pitch around was a giant monster fighting game. Mm-hmm. And we built a prototype for it, and it was pretty cool, but we couldn't find a publisher to back it. Making fighting games is pretty, funnily enough, it's pretty competitive. There's a lot of big players in the fighting game arena, and not a lot of publishers really want to go toe-to-toe with them. So we put it on the back burner, and we worked on Double Cross, which was our second game. And after we finished Double Cross, we were looking for another project, and it just so happened that we had the opportunity to kind of resurrect that monster game, but we thought, wouldn't it be more interesting if it was a cooperative game? And wouldn't it be more interesting if it was more of like an action beat 'em up game where I can fight, cooperatively with a friend and just destroy cities and destroy hordes of enemies? Because for some strange reason, no one else had made a giant monster beat 'em up yet. No one else said, Godzilla, Streets of Rage, let's put them together. And we were like, that's a great idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Video game. So yeah, we started working on a prototype, and then in mid 2019, we showed it to Way Forward, who we've been working with on some other projects. And we said, hey, here's something we're working on. Is this of interest to you? And they just thought it looked so cool, especially visually. And they were like, hey, let's sign this. Let's work together and make this game happen. So
nice.
That's the long and short of it.
Wow. So can you tell us, like, as far as like, is there like a story in the game that you can and maybe talk about, like the premise behind it, or?
Yeah, absolutely. The game takes place in the mid future, I would say. It takes
2030.
Yeah,
2030.
The 2060s. The 2060s.
2060s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Got that wrong.
So, and in the future, basically due to pollution and climate change and a bunch of other stuff, monsters have started to appear out of the bowels of the earth. So it's almost like the earth's angry. And we don't know where these monsters have come from or why they're attacking, but they start destroying humans. And when we get to our point in the game, Earth has kind of devised a team called the Defense Alliance Worldwide Network, or DAWN. And they've managed to tame 2 of the enemy monsters, Megadon and Ganira.
Oh.
They've managed to build a giant robot in Tempest Galahad, and they've managed to, through reasons you'll find out in the game, they've got a giant superhero, a guy who can transform into a giant superhero.
Oh,
Nice.
So they build a kind of, kaiju Avengers, and they decide, enough's enough. It's time for us to go take back the planet, and they start like that. That's kind of where the story starts. It's like, hey, today's the day we start fighting back.
So they're trying to take back the planet there. Wow, that's awesome. So we can see in this video here, this is like a deep dive into the gameplay and combat of the game. So it's definitely not just from what I'm seeing here, it's not just like a button masher. There's actually like different moves and stuff involved in here, in strategies and whatnot. And we can see here, look, scoring and different loot. Can you maybe speak as to some of the combat and gameplay in the game?
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of what you mentioned there is that was one of our goals with it. Is we love beat 'em ups, and we love how easy to get into that they are. But we also love, like, how do I put this? Beat 'em ups as a genre kind of existed throughout the 80s and 90s. And then in the 2000s, they started to disappear. But in reality, it's just because they were replaced with things like Dynasty Warriors and Devil May Cry and Bayonetta. So we thought, well, could we make a classic style beat 'em up with that classic camera angle that's really easy to understand, that works well with multiplayer? Could we make that style of beat 'em up, but with more of the Bayonetta, So it's still much less complicated than something like Devil May Cry or whatever, but you've got light attacks on the X button, you've got heavy attacks on the Y button, you've got a dodge on the right trigger, you've got a guard and parry on the left trigger, and then when you hold guard, you can press the face buttons to perform different rage attacks. And rage attacks are just attacks that use rage, which is a resource that you build up by smashing stuff. And then if you do enough rage attacks, you fill a bar that does your cataclysm attack, which is like your mega super powerful attack. So,
oh wow,
yeah, it's got a little more depth and nuance than some of the older classic beat 'em up stuff, but it's still pretty easy to jump into.
Yeah, I could see Granite in the chat here says a bit of a different game, but I'm having nostalgic memories of Rampage. As a kid. So was Rampage and games like that, like what is it? Is it World of King of Monsters? Like, are those some of the games that like influenced your design decisions or kind of like inspired you to your team to make this game?
Yeah, I mean, Rampage. I love Rampage and especially Rampage World Tour. I grew up on that.
Nice.
And I got to interview the guy who, kind of the creative director of Rampage, and ask him about how he made the game. But I wouldn't say it was like the key influence in terms of game design. I think King of the Monsters had, the old Neo Geo game had some influence, but we were more looking at, what were some of the games you looked at? Bayonetta, Ninja Gaiden, Monster Hunter, Streets of Rage, Final Fight. Okay, like so the classic beat 'em ups. Also get like Ultraman. Would you say that would be part of Ultraman in there? Kind of, like, definitely.
When I first saw the game, I was like, oh, it reminded me of like Ultraman on the Super Nintendo or Super Famicom. And them started to look at it here and could see like that character there in specific. I was like, oh, that's kind of like Ultraman there. So can you tell us like where? I know that there's obviously, we see in the background here is Toronto, so part of the game takes place in Toronto. Can you tell us like other locations that the game takes place in?
Yeah, so over the course of the game, you head to 4 distinct areas in the world, and the first one is Toronto. So I'd say about like 20% of the game is in Toronto.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of winks, nods, Easter eggs. So if you're Canadian, or if you live in Toronto, you're going to notice a lot of neat things. And then after you go to Toronto, you head to South America. So you head to what's called Foz de Iguazu, which is it's actually the meeting of three countries down in South America. You've got Paraguay, Brazil, and Argentina, if I remember correctly.
Argentina, I think.
Most of the combat there is taking place either in the river itself or on the Brazil side. And then after that, you're going to head to Egypt, and you're going to do a lot of stuff in and around Cairo. So you visit deserts and ruins and all that kind of stuff, as well as the city itself. And then after that, you head to, because it's a kaiju game, you got to go there. We head to Tokyo. And
I was about to say you got to put Japan in there. Like, oh my gosh, I was like, is there Japan? Like,
so
right at the end.
In that place, you do Tokyo, you do Yokohama, you do Mount Fuji.
Wow.
Wow, that's nice. I can see in the game that there's a lot of like destructible environment and like a lot of attention to detail, which is kind of cool when you look at it. But yeah, so other questions that we have here is I'm just trying to. Oh yeah, so Dawn of the Monsters is being published by WayForward. As I know a lot of people know WayForward, right? They did Shantae, especially one of their most popular franchise. But how did the partnership come around? So how did it happen? Did you guys get a hold of them, or did they get a hold of you?
Well, actually, way back when we made Rumbo, we reached out to WayForward and we partnered with them to put Shantae in the game.
Oh, wow.
So Shantae's a playable character in Rumbo. And then a few years later, after we did Double Cross, we started working with them. They needed some help with some other projects they were working on. So we were kind of like a support studio. And we were working with them, and they wanted to work with us because we make a lot of the same kinds of games, and we like 2D stuff. They like 2D stuff. So once we finished that project that we were working on with them, they wanted to work with us on something else. And so they had some ideas, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to work on this? You want to work on this? You want to work on this?" And we said, those, we're fine to work on those. Those look interesting, but we wanted to show you what we've been working on our own time. And we showed them Dawn of the Monsters, and they were immediately like, "Oh, we want to work on that."
That's
nice.
awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Very nice.
We know, like, when the game was initially announced, it wasn't up until this last week that we heard that the game was coming to Stadia. I don't know if you can comment on it. Is this something was it originally always planned on coming to Stadia, or is this like a recent development that the Stadia was added as an additional platform?
Stadia was added, I want to say mid last year or early last year.
Okay.
Because through WayForward, Google saw the game and they wanted it on the platform, and they reached out, and so we were pretty excited because it's the first game we've actually put on Stadia. And
exciting.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
How was so the process of putting the game on Stadia? Did you guys work on that, or did you have to hire like a third party person, or like was Google very helpful at helping out with the port?
Well, what we for Dawn of the Monsters, 13am Games, because we're just a team of 12. We handled the PC and the Switch development. So we handle PC because it's what we're developing on, right? We're working on PCs, and it's like the most flexible or powerful potential platform. Right. And we do the Switch because it's like the most challenging platform. It's got the lowest specs, and it's got different things that you need to do. It's got a portable mode and all that kind of stuff. Right. So we handle those, and then WayForward was handling PlayStation, Xbox, any other platforms. So when it came to Stadia, it was WayForward handled all the integration, or most of the integration stuff, but a lot of it fell onto us because it's essentially a PC game. But it wasn't. We didn't have any like major issues in terms of getting it to work on Stadia. Like there were definitely some things that were different than just making it for PC, but we didn't have any kind of weird requests where we had to talk to Google and say, "Hey, how do we do this? How do we do that?" It was fairly straightforward.
Nice. That's
Interesting.
That's awesome to hear. So, can you comment as to? Because I know there will be a lot of people wondering what resolution the game runs at on Stadia and the frame rate as well. Do you know that offhand or?
I don't. I was trying to get my Stadia account linked up to the developer one so I could get that information, but I wasn't able to get it in time.
Okay.
That's all good. Speaking of Stadia, how do you find the platform? Like, did you obviously you've tried it. Are you enjoying it? And how do you see cloud gaming in your vision?
I mean, I've got my Stadia account. I mean, I just wanted to try it out, especially because we're making a Stadia game. But I've been so busy making games that I haven't had a lot of time to play a lot of games.
Yeah.
But I was really impressed with what I played. I mean, some games seem to be, I guess, smoother than others. But like in general, I was really surprised by the responsiveness, because that was my first. Because I don't have like the best internet connection. And I was like, and I love action games. So I was like, well, how responsive can a streamed game be? And so I was really impressed with the games I played and how, it didn't feel like there was input lag, which
you must have tried Street of Rage, right? Like you must have tried that game, right?
I don't have it. I've got a pretty new account, but
okay.
So download that. I was playing a lot of Bloodstained today.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What else have you been playing on that plot, or just what have you been playing in your spare time?
Yeah, in general.
Let's see. What have I been playing? Well, recently, not on Stadia, but I recently beat BioShock for the first time. I took a really long time to finally get around to that. And then I really like playing like old school arcade shooters, like Gradius and Darius and that kind of stuff. So
love that.
I've been playing a lot of those recently. They're really addictive. and they're nice because like if I only have a small amount of time to play, if you play for 5 minutes or if you play for 5 hours, it's just as fun. They're pretty quick. But that's what I've been getting into a lot recently.
Yes.
Perhaps
That's
a hint to the next game. No, just kidding.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. So I know I saw a question here in the chat. So the game, we know Dawn of the Monsters. It's a 1 to 2 player local co-op game. Was that a specific design choice? And if so, are there any plans maybe in the future to add online mode to it?
Yeah, I mean, it was mostly just because of like time scope and budget. Like we started to develop this game like I guess late 2018, early 2019. And when we planned it out and budgeted it, we've done online before with Rumbo, but we didn't have it would have taken a lot of time and money to do online. So we said, we'll stick to local because we like local. And then the pandemic hit and we were like, man, we really should try to do online, but it was kind of too late at that point to retroactively put it in. It was too much work.
Right.
Now this is where I'm not familiar with how it works on Stadia, but I assume there's a way to do online local. I'm not sure. I know that some people use applications on their PC for that, but
you can play. We've done that too.
We did a few times.
We used Parsec, right? And then we had we used Parsec so that one of us, Ninja, would maybe like use Parsec, connect to my computer, and we'd play like that as well. Or that's interesting. I know that was a question out there as well. Someone asked another question here. I know it might not specifically be physical for Stadia, but it says this game looks wicked, amazing, and gorgeously fun. Is this going to be a multiplayer online, which we've already answered, and released both physically and digital. So will there be physical releases for like Switch or Xbox or PlayStation?
Yeah, there will actually. We haven't I guess put it up for pre-order yet, but it will be going up for pre-order on limited run games. And we haven't unveiled it yet, but there's the regular edition and there's a really cool collector's edition that we're working on as well.
Uh-oh.
Nice. Collector's edition.
Really?
All right. Yeah. Okay, so here's a natural question here. What will the price be?
I don't know if we've announced that yet.
I did see
Oh.
on the website with the press info and stuff about it. I did see $29.99 US.
Okay, yeah. Then we have announced it. I think it was in the last press release. So yeah, it's $30 US.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it'll probably be about $10 more here in Canada, about $40. So which is which is great. That's fantastic pricing on there. Let's see. We're going through more questions here. Is there player versus player, or is the focus co-op destruction?
It's just co-op, though. One feature that we've added, and if you play co-op, you'll notice this is, as you're fighting through each encounter and each mission, there are a ton of stats that we track. So I think it's like damage dealt, damage received, rage spent, and buildings destroyed. And then at the end of a mission, it puts your score and your co-op partner score next to each other.
Oh, no.
And it puts a little crown on whoever got the best in each category.
Oh, man.
No.
Competition.
Yeah, exactly.
I got someone here who has a very good question. So, collector's edition with a Godzilla's figurine, perhaps?
Oh my gosh.
I would love that.
I'd buy that in a heartbeat for sure.
The collector's edition will have some cool stuff in it, and we actually have
I love
through
that.
our partner there are actually Dawn of the Monsters.
Oh my gosh!
Oh my goodness!
Wow,
designer
bigger than I thought. Yeah.
toy figures. So
Does
my
it
gosh.
roar? It needs a sound effect. It needs. A roar.
You can
We'll do the sound
scream
effect.
you can scream behind it. But yeah,
There
there's
you go.
some seismic toys.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Very cool.
Nice.
and that's
That is
Ganira in the back. That's one of the other characters.
Nice.
So
Very nice. Oh yeah. I like it. I've noticed in the animation that you can summon like a mini creature with that character specifically, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. So each character plays pretty differently. They've all got a unique aspect, unique mechanics. And Ganira, the crab creature, she can summon a little minion, and that minion has a mind of its own. I mean, it'll follow you around, but it can go off and fight other creatures and distract them. It's kind of like playing with a co-op AI co-op partner.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
If you're alone.
So staying on topic with the characters, did you have a particular favorite, either by design or by gameplay?
That's really hard. It's like choosing from children. But
Well, yeah, pick your favorite.
well, I'll say this. I think design-wise, I love them all, but I really like how Megadon turned out, both in game and in toy form and everything. I think he's got a certain level of cool, and his animations are really nice. Like he's got a real cool wind-up punch that it makes a volcanic explosion on impact. So he's really fun. I think gameplay-wise, right now, recently, I've been really enjoying playing Aegis Prime, the superhero Ultraman type character, because he's really fast and really combo heavy. So if you want to play a character that's a little more technical but can do a lot, he's the one to go for.
Wow.
Nice.
How many characters were there in total? I don't recall if we've already mentioned it.
There's four.
Four. Nice. Wow.
I'm wondering if there's any difficulty choices in the game, and if there is, what does it affect specifically? Like creatures have more HP, or like things like that.
So there's no difficulty slider or option. What we decided to do, you can see on screen these augments that he was showing.
Yes.
So what we wanted to do was, instead of creating a difficulty selector, because sometimes it can be hard to the game asks you, hey, do you want to play easy, medium, or hard? And it's like, well, I don't know what that looks like or what that feels like, or should I go hard? Is that going to be too hard? Is normal hard? I don't know. So instead, within those augments, you can equip 3 augments to your character. Some of them are riskier, and they're intended for players who want a tougher experience, like increasing your damage while reducing your health or things like that.
Oh,
And others just make the game a little easier for you, like they increase your defense, or they might give you more health every time you execute an enemy. And so between that and also in the shop, you can purchase health and rage upgrades. We kind of wanted to build the difficulty selection into how you build your characters, and also which characters you choose. So Ganira, the one that summons a minion, was designed with beginners in mind, because she can actually distract enemies away from her. And things like that. Yeah.
very cool. That's good. And like the augments will probably help like speed runs and stuff like that, right? Like people who wants to do speed run will want to put the augments that gives more attack power and lose health and things like that. So I like that idea for sure.
Speaking of runs, what's the, I guess, duration of the game?
Yeah, good question.
So from what I can tell, because like when I play the game, I've been playing it for years. I'm very fast.
Pretty good at it.
Pretty good at it. It seems like it's around 8 to 10 hours.
Nice.
Wow,
If you want to do everything, like unlock everything and, get every single secret, it's probably closer to like 12 to 15. Every time you complete a mission, you're actually ranked. You're graded on it from F all the way to S. And so if every time you S rank a mission, you actually unlock something. So there's a lot to unlock in the game.
That's what I wanted to say about the difficulty. Like the ranking system drives you to having a more difficult run, because you want to try to achieve that S rank. And speaking of which, so is there any achievements on the game for Stadia and other platforms?
I don't know how it works on Stadia. I should check with Horde as they do the submissions and stuff. But yeah, there are achievements.
Okay.
And I don't remember how many, but yeah, there's achievements for it that try to get you to do all sorts of fun stuff and 100% it and all that.
Awesome.
Oh, it looks great. I'm just watching while we're talking here, like the art style. Like I totally love that. How approximately do you say there was about like how many people working on the game in total, like on the team?
So the core team was 12, and then there were people who, like our music guy, Dan Rodriguez, he just works as a contractor. Our sound guys, Benjamin and Steve, they worked as contractors. So the core team was 12, but the actual total number of people who worked on it gets pretty long when you factor in Way Forward and some other groups that we worked with to like help with animation and stuff like that.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. So, pardon me here. So, we're getting back to kind of like you said, like, when you first formed 13 AM Games, George Brown, is this something like you had always wanted to do, is to make video games, or did it kind of just like happen upon and there was like, this incident where, okay, we have this opportunity to make games? And because I know you mentioned like you made the game, you say, okay, let's get quote unquote real jobs now. So I kind of was just interested to see, is this something you've always wanted to do, or, like how it came about maybe?
So for me personally, I studied visual art and design, and then my intention was to go into film and video production. So I was I wanted to make movies. I wanted to get into that industry. And what happened for me was just that I worked in film and video production just on my own in my hometown for about a year. And after about a year of doing that, I was like, I don't know if I want to keep doing this, because I wasn't doing I wasn't making movies. I was, doing event videos and stuff like that. And I couldn't see a clear path forward into like making movies. Because I'm from Alberta, so I was in Fort McMurray, like a northern Albertan town, not Hollywood, not Toronto, not Vancouver. So I was kind of like, I don't know if I took a year off. I went and I did some volunteer work abroad, and while I was doing that, I was like, well, what do I want to do when I'm done this? Like, what's my next step?
Mhm.
And I always loved video games, but I kind of balked at the idea that I could ever work in video games because I don't really like doing math. And yeah, that makes it hard. I was like, I got a program, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't think I was a good enough artist to be like a video game artist. So
Mhm.
what I found out was that, there's a role called a video game designer. They don't have to, learn programming. They don't have to be fantastic artists, but they can come up with the concepts and the mechanics and the systems of video games. And I was like, well, at the time, this is about in 2012, I
Mhm.
always loved video games, but I was pretty frustrated because I think I had watched E3 that year, and every presentation had like a gray-brown military shooter and a
During that
sports
time,
game. Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
the dark ages, and I was
everything
like,
was brown.
Yeah.
and I was just kind of disillusioned, and I was like, well, instead of complaining about it, I should just try to make video games. So I applied to George Brown College because they had a design program, a post-grad design program, and ended up meeting all these other amazing people that together we formed 13am Games. So it was never really my intention. I was thinking I would go to George Brown College, study game design, and then go to, I don't know, Vancouver or wherever to get a job.
Right.
And
Right.
that's not how things turned out.
Oh,
Very nice. Here we have a question from Kinja. They say, does this game expect you to be perfect and better than perfect? There's too many games out there that even if you did an actual perfect run, there's just literally couldn't do any better. UST. I can't complete the, I don't know what that means, but yeah. So like, if you're a casual gamer, do you know if it's still doable? It's still a game that someone could complete.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the key to that is that if you're a really hardcore action game fan, instead of making it so that it's going to be really hard to beat the game, it's not really hard to beat the game. It's really hard to get an S rank in every level. So if you're that dedicated, you can try to get an S rank in every level. Even then, there's the skill element, how well you can play. Then there's building your character element, which doesn't require, quick reaction and reflexes and stuff. It's just looking at the augment system, building your character. So I think we've had people in the office who aren't very good at action games at all, and they've still had a blast with it, and they've been able to beat it. So I think that you're going to have a fun time. You don't have to worry about being perfect. There's also a lot of resources in the game. Like there's a full manual that's got videos in it, tutorials. Nice. It's got a training room, so if you want to just practice, you can practice. We've really tried to make it easy for anyone to hop in and have fun.
Awesome. What about the replayability? I mean, you pretty much answered the question throughout the interview, but what elements makes you want to replay the game?
So the obviously there's the S ranking aspect, right? Getting the ranking in every level and unlocking something for each one. But another element is that, and this can help you if you're maybe stuck. Each time you play a level, you're rewarded with 4 DNA augments to equip to your character, and you can choose 2 of them. So if you're stuck on a boss and you're just like, man, what do I do? I just can't. This guy keeps kicking my butt. Well, you can go back to like the previous level or an easier level, and you can replay it to get some new augments, equip them. Maybe you want to sell some other ones. You can even re-roll augments. You can be like, I like the perk, but I want to re-roll the stats. You can re-roll the stats. You can earn some money and then buy a health upgrade in the shop. So there's a lot you can do besides just like banging your head against wherever you are in the game.
Now we know like games of old used to be, they'd always have some type of like secret cheat code or something like that. Are there any codes in the game, like the classic Konami code, right? Is there something similar like that maybe buried in the game for gamers to discover, or
Easter eggs even, right?
Yeah.
There aren't any like cheat codes or anything like that. I mean, we wanted to. Maybe if if the game does well, I'd love to patch some really dumb cheat codes in. But what there's a ton of Easter eggs, winks, and nods, especially if you're a fan of monster movies or if you're a fan of anime and that kind of stuff. You're going to notice that everywhere you look, there's something that'll make you smile. And there's also, as you go through the game, there are two things that you'll unlock. One of them is chats. So there's human characters in the game, and they play a pretty important role in the plot. You can actually just go and listen to conversations between people in the Sunrise, which is the headquarters of the game. And then there's the archives, which has stats, tips, and lore on the world of Dawn of the Monsters and the characters and the creatures and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of different things you can unlock and look at over the course of the game, and there's tons of little Easter eggs and secrets in there as well.
Nice.
That's awesome. That is awesome to hear. So I know we have a release month of next month. Do you know, is there a specific date yet that the game is going to launch that you're allowed to share, or?
Not that I can share yet.
Okay.
But,
So
hopefully you won't have to wait long.
Okay. All right. I mean, it's March is only a couple of weeks away anyway. So
yeah, February is short this year, right? So
yeah.
Yeah.
So, any of your previous games that you had, like, you talked about Rumbo, would there ever be a potential to bring any of those older games over to Stadia?
I mean, I think so. I mean, especially if Dawn of the Monsters does well. We hadn't made a game for Stadia before. This is kind of our first game released after Stadia, since Stadia's existed.
Right.
And it's been really cool, honestly. I was when we found out we were making a Stadia version, we were just like, okay, cool, like another platform.
Right.
We'll do it. And then when the announcement came out, there were just so many people who were so excited about it. Like, the Stadia fan base is so passionate. I had no idea. And I just love to see that kind of passion and excitement from people. So
that's awesome.
That makes me excited about doing Stadia stuff.
Sweet. Yeah, that's awesome. We hear that because we bring developers on from time to time as well, and that's like a comment that we always hear. We never prompt, or we just all of a sudden it'll come up there. It's like about how the Stadia fan base is so passionate, so vocal, and that's really great to hear, to see that people and developers are recognizing that. Because I know sometimes people might say, oh, well, it's a waste of time, don't ask for this, don't reach out for that. But to actually hear it from developers, like, you guys are listening and you appreciate that stuff. So yeah, hopefully it'd be great to see more games from 13 AM Games on Stadia in the future. That would really be awesome. Is there? I know you have the action figures for this game. Are there any other planned type of merchandise? Maybe like T-shirts that for the game, or?
Yeah, we've got plans for stuff. T-shirts and posters and that kind of stuff. We haven't kind of announced them yet or put them out yet, but that's certainly something that we're looking into. There's a couple things I can't talk about yet that'll be coming as well. So nice. Keep an eye out on our social media and on Way Forwards, because the whole world of Dawn of the Monsters has been surprisingly well received. I mean, not
nice.
I like it. Like, I think it's good. I'm glad people like it. But when we made the toy, we released it, the first toy, like 2 years ago. So the game was still 2 years away.
Oh, really?
Wow.
And yet the first toy sold out. So I was like, wow, there's some
awesome.
interest in this stuff.
Yeah.
So
there's a big fan base of Godzilla. Like, I have a few friends who's like big fans of Godzilla also. They make videos and they collect all the VHS and DVDs, and they even make videos about like what you can obtain in America and which movies you can't, it's such a big expanded world, Godzilla. So it's cool to see.
Yeah.
And I'll definitely be
it's getting bigger too, with stuff like Pacific Rim and Ultraman and
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So potentially, depending on how well this game does, we could see even more Dawn of the Monsters games in the future. Would that be safe to say? If everything goes well, quite possibly.
Yeah, I'd love to. I mean, there's
Okay.
so many ideas for a sequel, even like a DLC expansion or something.
Yes,
We've got
yeah.
tons of ideas, and we would certainly love to
Great.
do them.
That's awesome. I'm even thinking like this would be like an awesome comic book as well, right? Like a series and things like that. It's just
Yeah.
like just the art style, the fan base, there's definitely all that potential. So we really do hope that that this does go well. I know many people in the chat and many people in the Stadia community I've talked to are like, this is a day one purchase. We'll be buying it. I think pretty much everyone here on the panel as well. This will be a game that we'll be purchasing day one, streaming it, just show everybody and show how awesome and how fun it is. And who knows, maybe we'll do a giveaway for our followers here in the chat. I know people always like giveaways, so maybe we'll talk
Yep.
between us and do a type of giveaway for Dawn of the Monsters here, because we always like to help promote and talk about and raise awareness of games, and especially indie titles as well. Again, you guys are here in Toronto, and the fact that there's Toronto level like in this, I still can't get over that. Like that's it's so awesome, and those
Yeah.
little nods
Yeah.
that we see to Toronto and Canadian stuff is
Yeah.
just truly amazing. You can see the attention to detail that everyone has taken there is awesome. I'm looking there. I see like the Ontario license plate there. I never noticed that
That's
before
crazy.
until this time there. So just actively looking around at the screen, and I think this is also too like a type of game that would be fun to watch others play as well. Not only just
Yes.
play yourself or co-op, but it's just like because the characters designs and the animation and the depth of the gameplay here is just
You can
really
get
top
pretty
notch.
skilled in the game. Like I've watched this video before the show, and like there's juggling. There's like it really feels like a Mortal Kombat type of battle, right? Like you have to juggle. You can cancel your animation. You can you
gosh.
do light, heavy, and rush attacks.
Oh
and,
yeah, that
and then rage,
yeah.
but they can't. Like they have to stack on each other. Like it's very technical, and I love it. I love the that you guys thought about all of this and put it in the game. It's going to be very fun to learn all of these moves.
Thank you.
Yeah,
and I'll say if anyone streams our game or does anything, make sure to hit us up on social media, because we love to share that stuff. We've got a Discord of Dawn of the Monsters fans that are always looking to
Nice.
Find new content and talk about the game.
Nice, yeah, definitely, and we'll get those details added to the description of the video here, so that way people can find. We know on Twitter it's at 13 a.m. games.
Yep.
They'll be able to find you there, and I think from there there's links to Discord as well.
Yeah.
Also on let me see the webpage here, 13amgames.com. It's got all the info as well, and some really great information here about the team as well, your previous games, Double Cross, Rumbo, Pirate, Pop Plus as well, and some other things. It's definitely check it out there. It's very awesome, and we do appreciate Alex you taking the time here out of your day and coming to talk to us and the Stadia community as well about Dawn of the Monsters. We're super, super excited about it. And we can't wait for March to hit.
Yes,
it's
going to be a fun time.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. It's been great. And honestly, like I said, it's been really cool to connect to the Stadia community, because it was kind of one that I didn't know existed until we announced the game for Stadia. And then all of a sudden there's just this flood of excited, positive people. And I was like, this rocks, this rules.
Yeah.
So,
yep. That is so awesome to hear. And just like, we had touched on before, like like being able to connect with the developers, you know, the people that are actually making this game, and to hear that all that the outreach is actually received and noted and received well, and you know, makes you feel good about yourself, and you know, bringing the game to the platform. So everyone, keep it up there. Don't listen to anybody that tells you that you know you're wasting your time by reaching out on social media or sharing your love. Do it, because we hear it every single time we talk to developers here, of how much they love to hear that enthusiasm and the support. So definitely show your support for the games on Stadia. And also Dawn of the Monsters here is, again, phenomenal. So I think we'll Ninja or Aswi, I don't know if you have any other questions for Alex here. No, Ninja doesn't. Aswi, do you have any questions that you'd like to ask before we wrap up today's show?
He's covered it. Once he said Bayonetta, I was like, even more day one.
Yeah.
Can I get it
Exactly.
before day one?
I'm so hyped. Like when I first watched it, I think the story trailer, I wasn't sold because I thought it was more like of an arena kind of battle type of game.
Mhm.
But when I watched the combat videos, that's when, you know, like I'm a big Street of Rage fan, right? So it's a lot more deep than I thought it was going to be. So hats off to that. That's all I have to say. I'm very hyped for it. Yeah.
Yeah, and just to recap too, Alex had said here, a rough estimate, 8 to 10 hours, but if you want to get everything between 12 and 15, so that's a great value too, and it's value price $29.99 US, $39.99 Canadian, and I'm sure probably in the UK it'll be something about £25. You know, here or there, it's general, you know, that's generally what it is based upon the prices, so that is great to hear. And Dawn of the Monsters comes out on Stadia in March, so just not too long away. Again, thank you so much, Alex, and everybody in the chat for coming out here today, learning more about Dawn of the Monsters, and we'll see everyone tomorrow. Bye,
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for having me on.